The zombies are roaming the wasteland because the continuing adventures of Alice have turned into Mad Max. This one does introduce Claire and Wesker from the games, but after Jill last time, I can't say we're brimming with enthusiasm. So join us for Resident Evil Extinction. I guess. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me on this fateful October night is Tim.
Hey, coming at you straight out of the void.
Yeah, Tim's trying some new lighting tonight. The strong house lights that were hitting the wall behind him were so powerful that we turned it off, and his lamp apparently is so weak that only his face and nothing else has light on it. And even then it's barely, but hey, we'll give it a try. It's kind of spooky. It works for the show, at least, I guess. So yes, welcome to the show, everyone.
You can't see all the freaky shit going on behind me.
Yeah, there's just a wall of dildos behind him. You can't believe it. It's scary.
I mean, that's not even the freaky stuff, but all right.
So yeah, welcome to the show. It's October. This is not the first October episode. It's the first one we're recording, though, just to let you in on a secret. But this is definitely not going out first. But it's been a year, Tim, since we last checked in on the Resident Evil movie franchise. And not only should we just try and get through them so they're done and we never have to think about them again, we kind of need to finish all the old ones before the new one comes out next year. And the new one might actually be good. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
We have high hopes, yeah.
Yeah, we have hope. Yeah. There was new casting news for it just this week at the time of recording. The cast.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the partner from the new Naked Gun is in it, apparently.
Oh, nice. Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you his name. But yeah, so that's all trucking along. So last October, it's been a whole year since we did Resident Evil Apocalypse. And we were miserable. We have returned today to talk about the third film in the Paul W.S. Anderson franchise. Not that he directed this one, he only wrote this one and produced it. But we're here today to talk about Resident Evil Extinction. Yeah, yes.
Okay. No, a weight was just lifted off of my heart because I was not 100% sure I was watching the right one because I couldn't tell you what the order of these movies were. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Extinction is the next one. I think I remember Pete saying that's the one we're watching. But I'm not going to be arsed to, check whatever timeline, how to watch the Resident Evil movies in order guide or whatever. So,
but why wouldn't you check? Because Tim, if you were wrong, you would have had to have went and watched the right one, and then whatever one you watched by accident, you'd have had to watch again in a few months' time.
I probably would have just tried to wing it. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is the Mad Max one. What do I mean by that? We're in deserts all of a sudden, which is somewhat explained. Like, to be fair, if there was no movies after this, it wouldn't really be that much of an issue, because technically the start of this movie does explain why everything's a desert. I'm fairly certain, though, if my memory serves me correct, I don't think that everything's a desert in the following movies, which is what makes this really weird and silly. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm misremembering. We'll find out when we get to the next ones. But this is the third in the movie series. Jovovich is back, of course, as Alice. We have to have Alice. I mean, it's not a Resident Evil movie without Alice in it, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But we also have Claire Redfield, all of a sudden. Played by Ali Larter.
She was in the second movie, right?
No.
She wasn't at all? Okay, no. Never mind then. I don't think I could tell you anything about the second movie. I think it ends on a rooftop. I think there's a Nemesis or Mr. X, I believe, is in it. I think that's about all I remember from it.
I love that a year or two's time when we've finished all these, right? Someone's going to just go through the playlist of just the Resident Evil episodes, and they're going to watch our review of Apocalypse, and then they're going to go to the next one, and you're going to immediately have forgotten everything that happened in the previous movie.
So that they did try to add like more video game characters in the second one. So was it Jill that was in the second one?
Jill and Carlos were in the second one.
Okay.
And I guess technically Nikolai.
So now we have Claire in this one, but we
still have Carlos.
But have we had Chris at all in the series?
Not yet. No, not yet. He's coming. Don't worry.
Okay. I mean, I guess, maybe I'm a stickler too much for the games, but it just feels weird to me to introduce Claire before Chris. But I mean, it's not like this franchise knows what the hell it's doing.
No, not at all. This one introduces Claire. It also introduces Wesker, so we'll talk about that once we get into things as well. But just before we get going, we will start relatively spoiler free. We'll give you a warning before we get into the spoilers. Like, subscribe, all that usual stuff helps, as does supporting us on Patreon. You get bonus episodes and even more stream segments, but I'll tell you more about that at the end of the episode. So, yeah, it's been 5 years since the second movie, apparently, in this one. They mentioned that at one point, and the entire world is turned into a desert wasteland, and you see a shot from space where you can at least tell all of the Americas are all just desert, right? It's just orange, the entire thing. So, times are rough. Things have went bad. Most of the people on the planet are dead, seemingly. And Alice is wandering the desert alone. Claire and Carlos have got a little convoy of people that they're kind of helping protect. And it feels really weird because it just kind of feels like, well, they didn't bring Jill back. Maybe the actress didn't want to come back. Maybe there was other reasons. Who knows? But it just kind of feels like they've swapped out Jill with Claire. That's what it feels like. So I'm not even surprised you made that mistake and just assumed she was in the last one. Especially since her one character trait in this movie is that she really wants to smoke, which is what they had with Jill in the last movie, even though neither character in the games ever did that. Never mind had it be their whole character. So that's baffling in and of itself. And then I tell you a plot synopsis, but to be frank, there is almost no plot in this movie. It's a barren wasteland of plot, never mind life. So we'll get into everything. This feels like a stupid question, Tim, but what did you think of Resident Evil Extinction?
I mean, obviously I'm not gonna even pretend to joke that I like this movie. I mean, it's awful. I feel like somehow these movies are getting worse, and they started off pretty bad. But I mean, I don't want to, I don't always want to be a negative Nancy or whatever. I would like to have something positive to say. So I don't know, when I'm going into these, it's like, all right, at this point, I know that these movies are doing their own thing. They're not going to be like the games. Obviously, we're fans, quite big fans of the games, but we know at this point, like any, delusion that they're gonna somehow course correct, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, this was like a perfect adaptation of Code Veronica or something. Like, that's not gonna happen. So, I'm kind of trying to go into it being like, maybe if I divorce myself from the games and I'm just trying to come in with, hey, let's watch a dumb fun action movie, maybe I can find some type of bad movie enjoyment level of this thing. But it's not even that. It's just, it's boring. It looks bad. I mean, again, I'm not trying to be too precious about the games. Like, I do think, you should change things when you adapt something. Like, it shouldn't be, exactly like the games. Otherwise, I feel like that's pretty boring. But it's just so little semblance. And not just the fact that, they're focusing on all these like different characters and stuff, but just the tone is always off. It's so much more actiony and stuff. And I mean,
do you know what the tone is, Tim? I can describe it, right? Not in a word, but in a sentence. The tone of this movie and of the last movie, and I assume of the next 3 movies, right? The tone is
three.
The tone is what a 12-year-old boy thinks is the coolest shit ever. That's the tone.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that. It's very, it feels like it's trying to be very superhero-y, superhero-esque, which
Super
is like
heroic, I guess. I don't know.
one that embodies the traits of a superhero film. But like, that's not like what Resident Evil is. Like, I mean, your characters are in the game, like, they could be badasses and stuff. And I mean, some of the games get a little sillier with what they do and stuff, but obviously, but like, I just, every time I see like Alice, like flipping off a wall and like, just snapping like all these people's necks and then jumping 50 feet in the air and like doing all these like crazy moves. I'm just like, this is not, what I want out of a Resident Evil movie. It's just, it's so much. And yeah, I mean, like you said, barely anything happens. I don't know how much of this they had like planned for all the next movies, but this weirdly does just feel like set up for, whatever's going to happen in the next one. And oh boy, I feel like when we get to talk about the ending,
well, here's the thing.
Jesus.
The end of the last one introduced something out of nowhere too that had nothing to do with the games, right? And this movie like does eventually address it, but the last movie ended on a cliffhanger that they were like, if not controlling, at least watching through Alice's eyes. Like they were linked into her and they were kind of watching through her eyes. That's how the last movie ended, and it kind of, the camera like zoomed out to a satellite in space. That's how Resident Evil Apocalypse ended, if you could believe it. And this one, which we won't get to till spoilers, but this one equally just I won't say out of nowhere, but like all of a sudden it just goes nuts and sets this weird thing up that, again, nothing to do with the games, just this crazy idea that for some reason this is what the focus is going into the fourth movie. And if I remember correctly, not to spoil anything, I think the next movie like starts off with what this movie sets up, but is done with it by like the end of the opening like prologue. Like it's not like the premise of the next movie is what this movie sets up. It's just the opening couple of scenes, and then it's like, oh no, here's what we're actually doing for the fourth movie. So
it's just so baffling because I feel like this franchise does have its fans. Like, I mean, obviously they wouldn't have made 6 movies if they were losing money or whatever, but it's just like, who is this for? Who likes this?
Dumb people, maybe. People who like bad movies, or I mean, I think part of it's just that they were relatively cheap to make, so they made a profit. Sure. Maybe there's like a tax scheme involved or something that was churning them out.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's rough stuff. I have many thoughts to get into with this. Obviously, like I say, the end of the last movie was stupid, and it felt kind of weird that this one started in such a way where we had to wait for them to address it. We wait like at least half the movie to kind of explain why Alice is on her own or why she's separate, because she's just riding around on her own on a motorbike, like in the first half of this movie. I will say I'm shocked they never had her say my name is Alice, because I'm sure they say it again. Like she definitely says it again in later movies, and she said it at the start of the last one, and it's kind of this running catchphrase. So I was shocked she didn't say it. That said, though, they do like a lot of nostalgia. Here's moments from the first movie stuff again, which we'll save mostly for spoilers. But I just wanted to mention it because it's kind of taking the place of my name is Alice. It's like, hey, she's in the red dress again, eh? Like, remember these iconic moments from that movie that came out 5 years ago? The nostalgia, do you feel it, everyone? Everyone nostalgic for Resident Evil 2002, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson?
I can't even.
So you've got that. You've got the fact that it kind of feels like the first half of the movie, the two different parties we're following, outside the villains, which have kind of got their own plot, it feels like they're just kind of waiting and just encountering random stuff that doesn't matter until everyone intersects. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's kind of a game plan now. And then one of my big issues with this movie, outside, of course, Alice is the godlike superhero. Everyone else pales in comparison to her. No one's as important as Alice. That's something I complained about last time. I'll complain about it again here. But not only that, the characters in this movie are complete and utter failures. Every time they even try and make a plan, if they're going to bother, they just instantly suck and like lose, and things go haywire immediately. Characters are annoying, they're poorly developed. any like B or C characters that are set up that you're supposed to maybe kind of care about, so that you might give a shit later on when something happens to them. You don't care about any of them. It's so paper thin, it doesn't matter. And then you've got all the usual bullshit, like camera spinning around, lots of quick cuts, the action scenes are just kind of mind-numbing to watch. I don't give a crap about any of this. And what was their big, like, oh, we're going to bring another monster from the games into this? What was their big get? The crows. We've got the zombie crows, so we're going to have a big crow sequence. Isn't that fun? And then the final boss, which I won't give any spoilers to, it's kind of like one thing from the game, but it's so changed that it's not even like fun to see it, because you're like, oh, at least it's a cool live, because at least the liquor in the first one, it's like, that looks like a liquor. They put a liquor in a movie. The movie still kind of sucks, but at least this liquor looks kind of cool because it is the liquor from the games for the most part. This thing at the end of this one is like, well, I can kind of, I guess this is what it's inspired by, but they've changed so much of it that it doesn't even feel satisfying on a visual level, never mind anything else. So yeah, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And if anything, it's worse than the in some ways it's worse than the last one, in some ways it isn't. The last one at least constantly had stuff happening, even though it was kind of mind-numbing, but it was more like messy. This one is kind of the opposite, in that it's more boring and nothing's happening, but in a weird way it feels less like messy because of it. It doesn't feel like it's like tripping over itself constantly. It just feels like they're not doing anything. Now, which one of those is worse? I feel like it's dealer's choice. Whatever you think is worse out of those two is the worst one. But yeah, I hated it. In short.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to choose like one to rewatch immediately, this one would definitely be at the very bottom. I don't, maybe a toss-up between the first two. Yeah, like the first one I feel like is the least like the games, but I think that's probably a good thing, because then it's like, oh, you're not bastardizing these things that I like, and it just kind of feels like its own thing. Like, it's still not good, but at least it, doesn't feel like it's encroaching on something that I like. Whereas like the second one, in this one, it feels like they're trying to add stuff to maybe like appease fans, but it's in such like a, shoddy fan film looking kind of way,
I mean, I get what you're saying in terms of having characters, although I think I would argue this one is less like the games than the first movie, because the first movie at least is a mansion going into a lab and, like it's a T-virus outbreak. This one, it has Claire in it, but like, we're riding around in the desert. It's so funny, given the fact that the Resident Evil games have never been post-apocalyptic, and yet for some reason the movies are like immediately post-apocalypse. This is obviously the way it's going to go, right? Everything's gone. So here we are. Yeah, I don't even.
When did you say this came out?
This was 2007.
Oh, okay, never mind. I was gonna say, like, I don't know if this was around the time of like Fury Road or something, if that was really big, but that's way before.
No, this was just Paul W.S. Anderson grew up watching Mad Max 2 and decided to ape off an old movie years before the big comeback happened, is my guess. I don't know. Maybe it was just the logical place his mind went when he said, oh, it's a proper post-apocalypse. What do I think of? I think of Mad Max. I think of deserts. But they straight up say, like, Alice in the opening narration, right after the title, she straight up says, the rivers and the lakes dried up. It's not just the life that died, the earth itself is dying because of this zombie virus. So they straight up say that. So I don't know. Like, I feel like the future movies don't really quite fit with this for various reasons, but we'll see that when we get there. We'll see that when we get there.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, it's like, they still have plenty of games they could have like drew inspiration from. Like, they could have, they already kind of, I guess, incorporated like, some of the third game into the second movie. But I mean, you could have, I don't, made one doing like some Code Veronica stuff, or go straight to 4 or whatever. Like, I mean, obviously they don't seem too inspired by the games, but if they wanted something, there was more stuff to explore instead of just going straight for the whole world is done for.
Oh yeah, there's not a fiber of this that's really based on games that much, really. Like, I mean, maybe if I really stretch, I can like spot one or two little things that I can kind of say are inspired by something. But this is not based on any of the games, not even remotely. I mean, the first one obviously had none of the characters, but at least you could sort of see how it was kind of taking Resident Evil 1 and doing its own spin on it. And 2 was mostly kind of adapting 3. From here on out, these are all just Wild West nonsense. It's all just like, what crazy crap can we put Alice into and have her be cool doing and all the rest of it. So I think we'll just say spoilers, because I don't know how much more we can say without just talking about what happens in it. So what little does happen in it, that is. So, I mean, I guess first things first, like, the movie opens with Alice waking up in the red dress. It's just footage from the first movie, I'm pretty sure. If it isn't, they went to such an effort to make it look like it was, but I'm pretty sure it's just the footage from the first movie. Until, of course, she gets to a door. And I want to emphasize, this isn't like it does quick cuts where it's like, you know how sometimes when they recap something, they'll do it in a really quickly edited way where it's like, oh, she wakes up, there's the dress in the bed, down the hall, boom, door. No. This has the pacing of when it appeared in the original movie. So we're waiting like 2 minutes before we get to something remotely new looking. But she gets to a door, and behind that door is the laser hallway. Because people like the laser hallway. So she goes in, dodges a laser, the little bit of the red dress gets cut off and falls to the floor, and then conveniently, when it goes into the grid form, there's a hatch to a vent shaft that she just kind of jumps up in, and it's like, oh, that was convenient. And then she drops down into the hallway from the hospital from the second movie, and I'm like, wait, are we just going to, is this like their way of doing a recap? We're going to have her walk through areas of the last two movies. And then she dies. There's like a trap goes off, and she dies. And then Dr. Isaacs, who was introduced in the last movie, shows up and he's like, she was so close. Take her blood and then dump the body. And the big cliffhanger at the end of the prologue is that there's a big pit up top, because they're deep underground, just like the Hive. They go up top and they toss her body into a giant pit full of nothing but dead Alice's. Because Alice is the key. She's the chosen one. Her blood, they keep cloning her because they're trying to use her blood to make a cure for the T-virus. Blah, 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 blah. Resident Evil Extinction.
Cool.
I knew we were in for a shit show. Like, everything about this was just like, oh, I don't like this Dr. Isaacs character sucks for a start. I'm not feeling any of this. That said, the Wesker we get in this is somehow even worse.
I feel like even the last movie with Jill and stuff, whenever they have a character from the game, it feels like a fan film. Like, they just get someone that, like, yeah, we can vaguely make up this person and then give them a few wardrobe things that will shout, hey, this is this character. But it's never, like, that good of an actor or anything.
No. I mean, the guy here's pretty bad. He has, like, they've dyed his hair blonde, but it's not slicked back. It's just short. And he's wearing sunglasses. And he's just the head of Umbrella, seemingly, as opposed to,
I guess,
someone who's working with Umbrella, which I get, sure. He's basically just like, Dr. Isaacs, get your research done. We're going to be trapped underground for years while these zombies are like dying out. So let's get to it. So that sets up that stuff, and he's all motivated, and he's kind of going against Book a little bit because he really wants to get Alice back. And it's not actually until Alice shows up to save the others later in the movie where they sort of pick her up on the satellite and like, oh my god, after 5 years we finally found her. She's nearby. Alice is here. Well, everyone, sound the alarms, get the parade going. So
it is like wild just how much of this movie just wants you to love Alice. Like, every time they say her name, like, it's like they expect the audience to just do a standing ovation, like, yeah, Alice is here.
It's the what's that joke from The Simpsons about Poochie? Like, whenever Poochie's not on screen, we want people to be asking, where is Poochie? What is Poochie doing?
No, 100%, yeah. Where's Alice?
So yeah, I mean, she's just riding about her motorbike. They do a scene earlier on where she goes into like a station to try and like find supplies, and there's like a sort of older woman holding what appears to be a baby, and she's like, please help me, help my baby. And Alice puts down her gun, takes the baby, but it's a doll. And then this woman's cannibal family all jump out. So this movie opens, for as far as Alice is concerned, after we get like obviously like 10 shots of her riding her bike in the road next to the desert, because we have to do that. But she like one of the family members is basically going to assault her. Like he's like opening her legs up and he's going to go for it. And then she kicks him so hard in the face that he dies. So so she passes out and then she wakes up and they've got like a pit in this place with zombie dogs. So this is her one zombie dog scene. And Alice starts doing flips. She's, ducking and diving. She's doing spin kicks. She's doing all sorts. The dogs, she eventually leads the dogs to the family and the family die and she gets her weapons back and she's on her way. And that's it. Like nothing, it's just like, we want to have an action scene to show how badass she is at the start, but nothing that she encounters here sets anything up. Nothing that she does here matters for the rest of the movie. It's just a random encounter with raiders. Nothing matters here.
Yeah, and I forget what like the old lady with the baby, like she has like some line, like she's like, oh, like you shouldn't have took my baby, or like I don't know, something stupid like that. But there's all these like one-liners that I feel like they just fall so flat. And
oh yeah, I mean this franchise. I mean the last movie had a ton of those as well. I remember.
Yeah, and I guess to be fair, like one of the things about the original like Resident Evil game is that kind of had like these cheesy little bits of dialogue or whatever, but it doesn't really feel like the same thing here, where it's like here it feels like they're trying, I don't know, to again have these like little beats of comedy, and it's never funny. And then I know the dogs are zombies, and obviously these are characters from the game and everything, but I don't know, I still don't think it's fun to see like a person just beating up dogs. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I was just kind of like, oh, I mean, it's not their fault. They're zombies. Also,
it's not the humans' faults they're zombies either, but all right.
Yeah, but I mean, humans aren't usually the best. But it is funny because before you're saying how like nothing happens in this movie, and we're still pretty early on, but it's hard to just like convey how like boring this stuff is, because when you're describing it, it's like, all right, even if you don't like these characters in this franchise and stuff, the things you're saying should be pretty exciting. This person wakes up and they're avoiding all these traps, and then they die and they're thrown into a pit of like corpses that all look like them, and then they're wandering the wasteland, and then they run into these cannibals, and then they're thrown into this pit full of zombie dogs. And it's like, that should be an exciting movie, but it's just, I don't know, like when you're watching it's just dull. Like, I don't know, it never looks good. It's never.
The direction in this franchise has been awful, particularly 2 and 3, where it feels like they really overemphasize quick edits, and like you never really get a sense of seeing something happen in camera in one shot before it cuts to something else. So nothing ever feels cool. It just feels like chopped to pieces. And what's so funny is the director of this movie is the director who did Highlander, but he also did Highlander 2: The Quickening. So I mean, take that for what it's worth. But yeah, it was just a weird. Yeah, I recognize the name. I was like, what do I know that name from? Russell Mulcahy, I think his name is. And yeah, that's what it was from. It was Highlander. But but he's clearly trying to fit the style established in the previous movie, which like, why? I mean, I don't know, but because it was terrible. But yeah, just really, really awful. It's got all those like quick cuts, or where it'll do the quick spin around and then like land on the cool action pose of the hero and all that kind of shit. It feels so try hard. And again, like I said earlier on, stuff a 12-year-old would think would be the coolest shit ever. That's what this usually is. Yeah, but it's not like she finds something here that's going to like point something out for the future or advance the plot, or maybe start a character arc where it's like showing that she, maybe this makes her mistrusting of people, and then the arc for her character would be by the end she's going to learn to trust someone. Something simple like that. No, none of this matters. In fact, character arc. What movie franchise do you think you're watching? There's no character arcs in this movie. No one changes from beginning to end. Like, you want competent writing that actually tells a story? You're shit out of luck. There's none of that here. Anyway,
Can't argue with you.
we're introduced to the other characters who are in a convoy, and I swear, like, 2 shots of, like, this, set of trucks going down the road would have done you. But they do, like, the aerial shot of them driving down the thing, and then they do a nice big sort of long panning shot going alongside of them. There's music playing. And I get it, it's the first time you're seeing them, you're making a big introduction out of this as your main group of characters. That's fine. But they do it a second time the next time we go to a scene with them. Like, they do it multiple, and it's padding. Yeah. It's insane how little happens in the first, like, 45 minutes of this movie, right? Very, very little. But they get to, like, a small town or settlement or whatever it is, and they're looking for supplies, looking for food, fuel, all the usual stuff. And what's his face? Carlos and the guy from the second movie that's still here, LJ.
Is that LJ?
He was like he was a pimp in the last movie?
That sounds right.
He was very gaudy anyway. He had, like, the gold guns and all that, but
he's essentially like the comedic relief.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't the last one. I feel like in this one they kind of just like, oh yeah, he's still here. We'll give him a couple of lines and that'll be about it.
Well, I mean, obviously, what you're getting to is, in this scene, he ends up getting bit, and then he does, the very tropey zombie thing where he hides it.
Do you know what bothers me though? Like, at least usually when other movies do this trope still, at least the person, when they look down at the bite, they look scared or whatever. He looks mildly annoyed, like he's dropped his, like, cookie or something and he can't eat it anymore. Yeah. Like, he does not seem to have the level of urgency on his face that suggests that he knows he's going to die.
Yeah. It's stupid because at that point you should be very aware of what happens when you get bitten. And
it makes him an asshole because he's putting everyone else in danger. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, there's, like, no reason to, like, stick around. Like, it's not like they're gonna find a cure in the next, like, 30 minutes or whatever. Yeah, because keep in mind, the zombie outbreak didn't just happen a couple of days ago and everyone's still learning the rules. We're 5 years after the last movie. These people have been living this as the status quo for years. Yeah, like, obviously this is a very tropey thing to do, but I can understand it more if it's, like, a movie where the outbreak just happened and people don't exactly know how this gets affected, how long it is, if there's a cure or whatever, so I can kind of understand it in a movie like that where it's like, oh, like, we're just kind of learning about this thing. But yeah, like you said, this is, like, over 5 years. Like, at this point, you very well are aware of what's gonna happen, and yeah, you're just an asshole. Like, and it's not even like you have to be like, oh, kill me. Like, if you're afraid of dying, just be like, oh, just have the convoy go on without me. I'm just gonna stay here and I'll become a zombie.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's so stupid. It's like they just want to have, this, like, I guess, tropey little side plot just to have it. And I don't know, it sucks.
Yeah, and they have him flirt a little bit with, like, the medic of the team, who's Betty, played by Ashanti. Is she a famous person? Because she's only got one name. I assume that means she's famous.
It sounds like maybe, like, a singer. Like, the name sounds familiar.
It does sound like a singer, doesn't it? Yeah. But anyway, I don't know who she is, but she, whatever. She comes over and she's, like, patching up, like, something on his arm. And he just kind of hides the chest bite, which he very clearly got when we were, if anything, I'm shocked that Carlos couldn't tell he was being bitten, because the zombie was, like, right up in his chest, like, when he came out of the room. But
and also, I thought that scene was really stupid because he looks like he kills this one zombie, and then he looks and sees this other zombie, and it's coming at him, and he shoots at it, and then he's like, oh crap, I just shot a mirror. And the way they film it, they try to, like, kind of hide it by, I guess, being really close up to the mirror so you can't tell it's a mirror or whatever. But in real life, if he was looking in that room, you would know that's a mirror. Like, it's just one of those, like, stand-up mirrors that it's like, you wouldn't have been fooled by it.
Yeah. That's like Strangers Chapter 1, where the person's in silhouette, like, for the characters, even though that's not how your eyes work. Like, it works with lighting and a camera because you're tricking it to make it look like that. It doesn't work with people. Unless you're like standing against the sun or something like that, you know. But this Betty character is a good example of just how poorly developed these characters are, because she basically flirts with him a little bit. She brings him something to eat later that night, and then the next time we see her, she basically dies when the crows attack. Like, that's it. Like, there was no time to like get to know her or care. And like we said, LJ is like a total asshole for keeping this to himself. And in fact, when he eventually does turn, he's in a truck with like the young kind of innocent girl. You know, I mean, she's not like super young, but she's like, you know, she's the young one of the group, because she's not young enough to be with the kids, but she's young enough that she clearly sticks out as the young, like just turned 18 of the bunch. And he's in a truck with her, and I'm like, you're almost killing the most innocent person out of the entire team because you lied about this. And then he also baits Carlos at that point as well, so then that leads to him. But we'll get to that in a minute, though. So anyway, they've looked for supplies, they don't find any, they camp here for the night, they talk a bunch about some different things and where to go next. Who cares? Alice is sleeping in the desert with a fire, and this is where, when she's dreaming, we introduce Alice's new superpower. I was expecting more of a reaction there, Tim. Do you not remember this?
Is it when she can... Well, I remember... Wait, we haven't gotten to the crows yet.
No,
right?
but there's a word for this in general. It's telekinesis. She has telekinesis.
Right, yeah. I honestly, this little bit might have glazed over for me, but I do remember very specifically during the crow scene when she...
Oh, yeah. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay.
I've got rants to have about that. But she's sleeping, she's dreaming, and she's like remembering stuff from the end of the second movie, and the rocks around her start hovering and levitating. And then it turns out when she wakes up, her bike was also levitating, because that comes crashing down to the ground and breaks. And it's like, wait, she's got telekinesis now? What the hell are we doing here?
She's a Jedi.
Why does the main character have telekinesis in a Resident Evil movie? This is stupid. I don't want Resident Evil characters to have superpowers, regardless if they're characters from the games or not.
You can easily make the characters, like, badass. Like, you know, when you play the games, like, you know, I do enjoy, like, you know, Chris and Jill and Leon, and, like, you know, all the characters you play are, like, you know, you feel... Like, you definitely feel like, you know, you're emboldened to take on these monsters, but you know, in a realistic way where, yeah, you're not doing all like this crazy stuff. And then to just make your character this like overpowered person with like superpowers that can do anything, it just feels like it's defeating the purpose. Like, I mean, I feel like we've, you know, talked about this a lot when we review these movies, but at this point, it's not horror. It's just like straight up action.
Yeah, not at all. And that's the thing, is that, like, you know, the tension of Resident Evil in general comes from, okay, yeah, you can fight back. You've got the skills to use weapons to fight back, but fundamentally it's still very dangerous the entire time. The second you give your main character like supernatural powers, like all of a sudden the threat is meaningless. And then you also introduce this weird problem of like, why isn't she using her powers in this scene? Why is she doing regular kicking and fighting with her blades when she could just be using her powers? Which, case in point, gets us to the crow scene. So the main camp of people wake up and there's crows everywhere, and they're like, it's basically like a scene at Hitchcock's The Birds, where there's just crows like everywhere above them, and they're like, shit, we have to move. Oh no, this one truck won't start. We have to move people. Oh, like people are dying. Betty, the medic lady, gets pecked to death. I mean, she sort of goes heroically trying to save a child, but like, you know, people are getting pecked to death, and then out of nowhere, when Carlos goes to shield someone, because one of them's got like a flamethrower on top of their truck, and that gets out of control, and it basically turns to point right at Carlos and whoever he's with, and all of a sudden, a freaking force field shields Carlos from a flamethrower, and he looks over, and Alice is standing there. He has this look of like relief in his face, and then Alice, with her telekinesis, makes the flames go up and basically sets the entire sky on fire and burns every single crow, all like 500 of them or however many there are in this scene, to death, and completely just solves everything like that. And everyone's looking on at her, and I'm like, she's just God now. That was a God maneuver, is what that was. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this doesn't make her more cool because she's more powerful. This just makes her lamer because she can just do this easy. Like, there's nothing interesting about this.
No, not at all. It's all very dumb. And I mean, like you said, yes, like the crows are from the game, but they're always kind of like a minor annoyance in the game.
Yeah.
You know, like this is treating them like, you know, the ultimate, like, you know, whatever mutation or like bad guy from the virus or whatever. Like, yeah, it's like everyone when they think of Resident Evil, it's like, oh man, the crows. Those were like, you know, that was the scariest part of the game.
Are these even zombie crows, or are they just like the crows have gotten a bit too cocky because the world's went to shit and they think, we can just do what we want now?
I mean, we've all seen Birdemic. We know what can happen if you know the birds get out of control.
Oh yes, yes, of course.
But I mean, I feel bad for asking these questions, but I remember nothing from the first movie. But did they not meet in the first movie either, or Alice and Carlos?
Carlos wasn't in the first movie. They met in the second movie.
Oh, the second movie. So that's fine. Yeah.
They met in the second movie. Yes. So he's recognized her because he helped the others break her. Remember, because the end of the second movie was the other characters who survived, like going undercover to break her out of this lab that she was in.
So I will say that's another problem with these movies is that it always feels like there's two separate movies going on. Like there's clearly an Alice movie and a Resident Evil movie. I mean, obviously, like, you know, the Resident Evil movie isn't similar to the games or whatever, but that's you know, the movie that's trying to have like more like characters and stuff like the game. But Alice always feels like she's in her own like separate movie. So it's just weird to yeah, like they're always off doing their own thing, and then you know they come together at some point. But then I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's ever cohesive. You know, it's just like too disjointed. I don't know.
Oh, sure, yeah, it feels very disconnected, especially since, I mean, toward near the end of this movie, there's a point where the rest of the characters just leave, and Alice says, no, I need to stay here and finish the movie. You guys all leave. You're not important anymore. Like, that's basically like how they leave the movie. And so, basically, Alice, when she wakes up and she bonds with Kmart, the young blonde, right, a little bit, who says, "Oh, everyone."
Famous Resident Evil character.
Kmart, yes. Alice basically meets Claire for the first time and talks to the others. It basically says, "Oh, hey, I've been listening to radio transmissions. I've heard rumors that Alaska is like virus free and it's like a haven there, right? You always got to believe in the haven." And they put it up to a vote, and they mention there's about 30 people in their group. And they all vote pretty unanimously to try and go to Alaska because at least it's something to hope for, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And they're looking for fuel and stuff. They're looking at the map. And they suggested a couple of places, and Alice is like, no, I've been there. It's empty. There's nothing there. And Claire says, we have to go to Vegas. And they're like, that's too dangerous. And she's like, yeah, that's why there'll still be supplies there, though, is because it's so dangerous. We've already picked all the small locations dry. We have to go to a city. And Alice agrees with this. So I want to point out that by the time they're on their way to Vegas, we're like almost an hour into this 90-minute movie. Like, you know, this is like late act 2 as far as regular movie structures go. Although saying this has a good structure, or any structure's a bit in the bold side. But so they get to Vegas and it is completely submerged in like sand and desert, right? Like, you know, there's buildings sticking out. You can see some light lampposts sticking out and stuff, but it's like very covered in sand. And I can't believe how like just incompetent both the characters are and how the writing is in this scene, because this is their whole plan. They've set up this goal of going to Alaska, which feels like the goal of a movie in a zombie apocalypse, right? To go to the safe haven that you think might exist. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, and that'll be a big ending when you get there. Not that we ever see in this movie, because we don't follow the characters to go to Alaska. But they get to Las Vegas, and they see a big shipping container, and they go, we're going to open that. And they all just stand still, and zombies come bursting out when they open it, right? So the action scene we get is just them standing still and shooting guns at this horde of zombies. And then this action scene progresses to the zombies chasing after everyone. So this team of people decide to come to Vegas to try and find supplies. And the very, very, very first thing they do is open a door that unleashes a horde of zombie that leads to the death of every single person that came that isn't either Alice, Claire, or Kmart. Because everyone else is either dead or bitten by the end of this action scene. How is this not one of the most spectacular failures of like any group of characters in the history of cinema? They succeed at nothing. They didn't get supplies. They didn't get anything. They end up like pivoting because Alice like realizes the Umbrella's got like a helicopter because the sign stood here. Like Dr. Isaac's like monitoring from a rooftop, and they end up stealing that helicopter. And they follow back to his base where the helicopter goes, and then like the big thing is like, we'll steal that helicopter and you can go to Alaska in the helicopter. Although, for the record, I don't think a helicopter can fly all the way from Nevada to Alaska without stopping to refuel multiple times. So,
right.
I don't know what the range of a helicopter is, but it's definitely not that far. So
No.
I mean, obviously, this action scene is boring as shit. This is the scene where LJ like turns, bites Carlos. There's lots of near misses of people saving each other. But everyone ultimately fails. And Alice is doing spin kicks and jumps and doodads. She's not using her telekinesis at all. At one point, they make her like shut down and freeze with the satellite because she's still connected to that thing she was connected to at the end of the second movie. But then, because she said to Claire earlier on that she hacked an Umbrella satellite or something, and she's able to kind of like fight back, and it makes the processor, like the CPU on the satellite, like fry, so it loses control of her, and then she's back to being herself, and she basically at that point just like doesn't care about saving anyone else. I mean, most of them are dead at this point, to be fair, but she just goes for the doctor on the rooftop, and he escapes. She kills everyone else, but she's like, "We need to go get that helicopter." Like, I cannot believe that we finally kind of had a goal in the movie, which is get supplies so we can go to Alaska, which might be safe. And their first attempt kills all of them. Except, I mean, I don't think they brought the bus full of the kids they had in the group, so I guess they're still alive, which we can kind of see at the end when they're going out the helicopter. But like all of the people who actually do the fighting and the scavenging and all that, they're all gone, right? Other than Claire and Kmart, I guess. Yeah. So I just baffling to me. Like, how am I supposed to root for a single asshole in this movie when they're this incompetent and succeed at absolutely nothing? There is nothing in this movie from minute one to the end that makes me want to root for any of these assholes.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because this should be, I guess emotionally devastating scene, but you care so little for the characters that it's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Even like, Carlos, who, he realizes he's bitten, so he's like, well, I'm gonna go out and take out as many of them as I can or whatever. Like, that should be a pretty badass thing, but it's just like, all right, whatever. And I probably mentioned before in the other movies, but I just hate how the zombies look, how they act, how they sound in this. Like, I love in the games, it's much more like, traditional kind of Romero zombie where, they're more slow, but, that's kind of like creepier. And, they have like the fast hyper zombies, and they all kind of have that same like zombie screech growl that I feel like you've heard in like a million movies. And then like you said before, they're just doing like the quick jump cut editing stuff, so it just feels like so frantic, but not in a way that's ever like, oh wow, there's some crazy stuff going on, this is fun to watch. It's just even though there's a lot of stuff going on, it's like still very dull. I
mean, I don't know, even just some build up to the zombies appearing, some suspense, some like teases and like near misses, or a sense of geography once they do appear to understand where characters are trying to get to. It just kind of feels aimless until everyone's dead. It's just so unfulfilling. And you said it should be emotionally devastating. I'd even settle for an emotional tickle. Like, devastating is not even like on the menu. Like, this is... This is just dire stuff. At least if it was like, okay, I don't care about the characters, but the scene's like well shot and I can enjoy it for the spectacle, that'd be one thing, but you don't have that either. It's just a depressing sequence of events. So the whole thing is that the base where the bad guys go, like there's always zombies around the fence up top where the entrance to the lab is. So their plan is for Carlos to raid their oil tanker and blow it up to create a path for them to drive through to get to the helicopter. So he does that. Alice even kisses him on the mouth as if like there was an attraction there, maybe, I guess.
Now I'm sorry, I don't care about that part, but
that's fine. Yeah, there you go.
I do like Resident Evil 3, but it's weirdly one of those games that I didn't play that much growing up. Like I played 1 and 2 so many times, like over and over again. And then I know Resident Evil 3 came out like a little later. I don't know if PlayStation 2 was already out. Maybe I was onto like other stuff or whatever. But I had only played Resident Evil 3 like one time. But if I recall, like wasn't there a similar thing in the game where I don't know if it was Carlos or a different character where they, I don't know if they're bit or dying or something, but they decide to like.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 came out in '99, right? So the PS2 was still another year or 2 away. No, about a year away.
Okay.
But now you're thinking of the bit in the train when Nemesis shows up and Mikhail, the other mercenary, because he's already injured, decides, hey, leave me with him, and he pops a grenade to like sort of slow Nemesis down. I think that's what you're thinking of. Okay,
yeah, but so I was trying to I couldn't remember if that was Carlos in the game but I remember there was like a similar thing in the game where someone was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to sacrifice myself to take out."
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like in the heat of the moment though, because this thing's here and he feels like he's backed into a corner. So I think like I don't think this is inspired by that moment. This just kind of feels like you can relate them because there's some parallels in some ways, but I don't think it's like, oh, they were trying to recreate that, you know, from the third game.
Which again, my memory is shoddy of the game. I think I got it, or maybe I never got it, or maybe I borrowed it from a friend, but I think it was like later on. So maybe that's why I'm thinking of it like
you can buy it on your PlayStation 5 for like $7.99 if you want.
I believe I do have it downloaded because I think I played it before the remake came out, but even that was a decent number of years ago at this point. But I do remember that scene being particularly well done though, versus the scene where I'm just like, I just really don't care about this character that much.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, not much to say about that in particular. I mean, they get to the helicopter. Claire luckily can fly a helicopter. We've never heard anything about her backstory, but I guess she's skilled in helicopter piloting, so she's going to do that.
Yeah, and then I forget, just to back up a little bit, so when, Isaacs and whatever, they leave, did he already get bit?
Yeah,
at that point, or was that later?
No, he got bit in the way of the helicopter, so he was like, give me the antivirus, and then the one thing we see of him in the middle is that he is like injecting himself with a ton of antivirus, like a lot of it, trying to slow down his infection. And basically his second command's like, okay, I'm pulling rank here, you're unfit to serve, and he shoots him. It's like, you're being relieved, die. But then Isaac, because he's already mutated, doesn't die, and his tentacle fingers come after the man. He has tentacle fingers, you see.
Yeah.
Which is nothing like any of the games, for the record. the tentacle fingers. No. Like, I think what he turns into is their take on a tyrant.
Tyrant, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. But it's like you said, it's like, okay, I kind of see what they're going for, but it's not fully committing.
No, because in the game, so the exposed heart's kind of there, and like the one big claw, it kind of looks like he has that when the tentacles aren't stretched out, but you can stretch them out like they're, like infinite, and that's like nothing like the games. And any sort of excitement that this is kind of their tyrant, it just completely goes out the window. So yeah, obviously we don't see that until Alice goes down. Claire flies a helicopter away, the kids all go with her, of course, and Alice is like, no, I'm the real star of this movie. You all leave. No one cares if you make it to Alaska. I'm going to go down there and finish my business. So she goes down, and of course, we didn't mention this earlier because they did set it up earlier. Of course, this lab has an AI computer, which is a little girl, because that's become like a running thing in these movies, apparently.
Yeah.
Also not from the games, might I add.
No. It's so weird that they're trying to do like all these callbacks, and it feels like they're really trying to like, let's play up the nostalgia for the first movie. And it's like the first movie is just like a few years ago, and it wasn't good. Like it's weird that I don't know. It feels like if this was like, kind of like a reboot or something where they're like, oh, we gotta like call back all this stuff from the original that people loved.
I hope there's a character in the Zach Kreger one called Alice who dies like instantly.
I'd be okay with that. Yeah.
Like nothing that I'm not saying put her in the red dress or right. I'm just meaning just mention that someone's named Alice and then have her immediately die. It would just please me greatly. Okay.
And then have like another character be like, what was her name again? I don't know. I didn't hear it.
Her name was Alice and she worked for Umbrella. So yeah, she goes down, she talks to the AI a little bit. The AI kind of helps her because she's like, oh yeah, the Isaacs went crazy and mutated and killed everyone down here. So off you go to see if you can deal with her. So yeah, we get this face-off with Isaacs, and she ends up in like the hallway from the mansion from the first movie, which was part of the testing like gauntlet that all the clones were going through earlier on. And she has a face-off with him, and she remembers she has telekinesis because she's able to stop the tentacles at one point with that. Of course, she also does the fancy thing where she like kicks the floorboard, which kicks up her machete thing, and she grabs that and cuts a tentacle and whatever. All of this just kind of comes to a head because they get to the laser hallway and like the lasers turn on, and the reveal here is that right before she started fighting Isaac's tyrant dude, right before she started fighting him, she found like a pod with one of her clones, and her clone came out and she held it in her arms, and her clone died in front of her. But then out of nowhere, her clone actually isn't dead. She just wakes up. she put a coat over her as if she was dead. That way you do with corpses. But she just gets up, and the reveal at the end is when the laser grid turns on in the hallway, the clone's the one that turned it on, and it's like, yeah, take that, Isaacs. So he keeps saying he can't die because he keeps healing from wounds, but then this thing just chops him up into little pieces. So we get to see the effect of all the parts falling away again, just like the first movie, but with this mutated monstrosity now. So that's how she beats the boss. So there's not actually that much to the final confrontation. It's kind of like the face-off in the hallway where the telekinesis is used heavily, and then the laser hallway is the ending of it. And the conclusion to this movie is that we cut to the Umbrella base that's underneath Tokyo, which is where Wesker actually is, right? Because when they had the meeting earlier on, Wesker and the other heads of the company were all just there via hologram. Because of course, right? So Wesker's like, with Isaac's gone, right? Their base isn't responding, so I'm now in charge of the Alice project, and because I'm in charge now, the results will be here within a month. And then Alice appears via hologram from the base she's in, and says that she's coming for them, and that she's bringing friends. And the end of the movie is her and her clone looking at the big chamber full of Alice clones, implying and teasing that Alice is bringing an army of Alices to fight what's left of Umbrella.
See, this is my worry. This is my worry because I don't care for Alice, and then it's like,
there's 50 of them.
Movie just gonna be it's just all Alice's. Like, I don't want it.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like, I'm sure they sort of like this, it's done by like 2 scenes into the movie, and then we just set up what the movie's actually going to be after that. It's like, well, why did you spend this time setting up this stupid goddamn cliffhanger if you were just going to like deal with it within like 1 scene? It makes no sense. It's such sloppy writing. What it tells me is that they had no idea what the 4th movie was going to be when they wrote this. They just did this because they thought it was a fun ending, right? It isn't, but they thought that. And then when they go to write the fourth one, well, that was a stupid cliffhanger. I guess we'll have to write that off as quickly as possible and get to what the movie actually is. So like this is just like a waste of time. It's stupid and over the top, and like, yeah, Alice is so important. Let's have like 500 Alices, because that makes it all better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do I say? What do I say? That's bullshit.
Yeah, when you don't know what to do, just throw more Alice's at it. That'll, a little Alice goes a long way.
Also, here's a problem that's really starting to creep into these movies, and I definitely remember thinking this about the later movies, is this seedy, secrety, like, part of Umbrella that still exists that Wesker's kind of in charge of and all that. Like, what are they even doing now? Like, the world's destroyed upstairs. Like, what are they ruling over? Like, there's no, like customers to buy your products when you go back up there. Right. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Exactly. What was the purpose of your thing? Like, I don't get it. Like, what? I don't know. You're still sitting in a boardroom as if you're evil businessmen who are, like, making decisions for the world, but the world's gone. So what the hell are we even doing here? None of this makes any goddamn sense.
I'm trying to think if I can guess what the title of the next one is.
Oh.
So, obviously the first one was just Resident Evil. The second one was Apocalypse. This one was Extinction.
I'm trying. I'm not even sure. Okay, I know what it is now. But it was between two. So, I had to check. It was between two titles, and I had to check.
So I could be wrong, but I think there was one that was just like Resident Evil 3D.
Yeah, it's not that one.
And not that one. Okay,
that's number 6.
That's not okay. So that's the last one.
Yep.
Is there? Is it something that's like kind of common? Like, is it like rebirth, regeneration?
I love how you kind of like got close to both the next two titles with that pair of guesses.
Oh wait! I think is one like Retribution.
That's 5.
That's 5. Okay.
Yeah, Retribution's 5.
All right. So what is this one? Revenge.
No, you were closer with Rebirth. Think along those lines.
Rebirth, Afterbirth.
Closer. Come on, there's a word that's more common in Afterbirth of a similar nature.
It's not Revelations, is it?
No. You were closer. Rebirth, Afterbirth, right? think.
Birth.
It's Afterlife, Tim. Afterlife.
Afterlife. Okay. All right. Wow.
I can't believe you said afterbirth instead of afterlife. Like, afterlife's a way more common word. Oh, jeez. I'm just actually rating these in IMDb for the first time because I want to drag those averages down, baby.
Oh, sure. I just don't understand the appeal of these movies at all. I mean, if you're a fan of the games, this is like so, outside of what is good or unique or appealing about the games. I just can't understand, and then if you don't like the games, they're just poorly made. So I don't know.
It feels dismissive of anyone who cares about the games. Like, because even though this new movie that's coming out, like Kreger said, he's not basing it on one of the games. He said it's set in the world of the games, and I think some people have maybe put together that maybe it's set in Raccoon City, like during 2 and 3 when all that stuff's going down. That may not be true. That may just be like rumor or like speculation. But the things that he said about it, though, which is it's going to be set in one night and it's one character going from A to B to try and survive. Like, that is a Resident Evil game, right? You're in a situation and you're trying to survive through the night and get out, find a way to leave the city, leave the building, leave whatever it is you're stuck in. That's what Resident Evil is. So if he can create the feeling of that, then that is going to be closer to Resident Evil, regardless of not having characters named, Chris, Claire, Jill, Leon, so on, so on.
No, like 100%. Yeah. And again, I've, played those original games so many times and I love them. And yeah, I guess it would be cool to see a big screen version of it, but I have those memories. I can go back and play those games and stuff. Like at this point, I would want to see something different, but whenever you're adapting something, you want to keep like the same kind of feeling, the same kind of tone. So yeah, and I have faith in Kreger that he understands that and can do that. I mean, fingers crossed. You never know how it's going to turn out, but I'm relatively excited and hopeful for it.
I'm not expecting there to be like a super weird, elaborate puzzle because it'd be hard to kind of justify that, right? But the character better have to find a key or something like that. Sure. They have to find a key or a valve or a crank, something of that nature, so they can get through something. That has to be in there somewhere, or it's not Resident Evil. goddammit. All right.
Yeah.
that's the rules. Anyway, I mean, this stupid ass movie. I mean, I guess it's time to rate it. This is normally where I'm like, let's do an even more Scream segment, but we're not doing that for this because we're doing extra episodes for October, so we'd have to do one for every episode. So I don't know what to say except just rate this son of a bitch, because I don't know what else to do.
I don't know, like 2.5, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking like a 2, maybe a 3, something in that range. But I really like. The only thing that's making me not want to go as low as a 2 is just because I'm pretty sure it goes lower.
It's gonna get worse.
And I don't think it ever goes to a 1, because 1's like, a level of incompetence and like lack of production value and all that. But I still want to give it a 2 though. Like it's trash. Like there's like nothing happens, and when they finally do set something up, it gets rushed through so quick. The characters achieve nothing, so they all feel like a bunch of idiots who don't get anything done. So there's no reason to root for them. All the characters that aren't Alice feel like ancillary that just get shoved to the side so we can finish everything with her instead of them. There's nothing to let, and then the ending with all the clones is just a bunch of stupid bollocks, which is just not Resident Evil. So what am I supposed to like here? Anyway, like, you know what? Like next, is it August, October, something around there? The new Resident Evil comes out. We want to have these finished before then. So, like, we'll have to get the 4th one done probably sometime in like February, March, and then we'll get 5 done somewhere in the May-June period, and then we'll squeeze out 6 just before October next year. Assuming the next one's out in October. If it's a little bit earlier, then it'll be earlier. But that's the plan, right? We'll get through these damn things, but we don't have to like it. We don't have to look forward to it. That's been Resident Evil Extinction. We're done. All right. Like, support us on Patreon or via YouTube membership. Get access to bonus episodes. There'll be 1 or 2 for this month. There's a whole back catalogue. Even More Streams is like a weekly bonus segment we do where we do like a little top 5 or a little bonus discussion or whatever. I suspect that come February or March, depending how long it takes Tim, we might do a discussion on Resident Evil 9 after we've both finished it.
Oh, sure.
That seems like something we'll do. That'll probably be something we record separately, though, because it's probably going to be like a full feature-length discussion, I imagine. But that seems like too much of a good opportunity to pass up to talk about that. But
absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Anyway, that is the show though. So like, subscribe, all that stuff. Obviously it's Octoberthon, which means we're doing extra episodes for the month, and we'll see you for a bunch of. We are doing more zombie movies, believe it or not. The franchise that we're doing, at least the main trio of, is Return of the Living Dead. So you'll be seeing that soon. I won't tell you what's coming next because honestly, at this point, I don't know what the order of the episodes is going to be. So I'm not going to pretend to know. So I'll just say, hopefully you're enjoying Octoberthon. Hopefully you're watching a lot of horror movies, and we'll see you for the next one. But thanks for watching once again. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you next time.